Roxy. Evening. Welcome back to the Cognitive Rampage session series. I have my little dog in the house tonight, so I'll have Roxy say hello. Say hello to everybody, Roxy. That's my little pug hanging out with me at the office tonight. For those of you that did tune into the Cognitive Rampage, or at least go back and watch it later, I was talking a little bit about cognitive functional analysis. Now we talk to ourselves, but tonight Leo's joining me again. For those of you that got the advertisement about Dr. Rybeck joining me tonight, unfortunately, a man in his position is sometimes summoned for reasons that he has to attend to. So unfortunately, he can't join me tonight. We're tentatively scheduled for next Saturday with him and even possibly Dr. Brodsky, a psychiatrist as well. But tonight, Leo's joining me again tonight, and a couple things I want to talk about tonight. So Leo will be walking in here, hanging out.
I'm here. I made it.
Hey, man. All right. Good to see you, brother.
Yeah, same here.
Hey, man. Always a pleasure. Don't mind Roxy. She loves everybody, man.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah, I wanted to throw out a different topic, other than the rampage. When I think part of this, when we take that oath to be a counselor or a social worker or a license, however it is we do it, part of that oath talks about talking about the stigmas and the cliches associated with therapy and treatment, and being an advocate, about mental health.
Right.
There's a lot of negative connotation about therapy, about what you go to therapy for, or even what it's like, or a lot of people haven't gone. And this negative stigma that, you go to therapy when you're sick or when something's wrong necessarily, right. which many do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of put it out there and maybe talk to the viewers here at Cognitive Rampage, those that may be thinking about therapy or have been to therapy and maybe even been to therapy and have washed their hands of therapy because of some bad experiences.
Right.
That happens often, but that's part of it, is finding that right connection. I wanted to kind of share those thoughts and get your beliefs about that.
Yeah, finding therapy, the stigma all the stigma and stereotypes out there is, I think it's a lot better than it used to be.
Sure, I would agree. Yeah.
In the last probably 10 years and even more so in the last maybe 3 or 4 years,
yeah,
people understand that it doesn't mean you're whacked or crazy or something to go to therapy. I think everyone's a little crazy, but the idea more that you're looking to someone that you can bounce things off of, that can be objective.
Yeah.
You can say, well, I have friends I can do that with, but friends, no matter what they say, it's like, well, yeah, you're my friend. But to talk to someone who has no axe to grind, a lot of times they have an awareness.
I like that. That has no axe to grind.
Yeah, they can see things.
You're speaking to the people that don't necessarily have an issue they're dealing with up front.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A lot of people will go to a therapist and not have a good experience.
Right.
But all therapists are different. The idea that you have to find someone that you do have that connection with.
Right.
And you'll know that within the first 5 minutes. And style has a lot to do with, some therapists might just say, well, what do you think about that?
Right.
Personally, that would drive me up a wall because I already know what I think about it. But
right.
So if that's the only experience you have, it's not likely that you're going to give it a shot. It's like, well, I went to therapy, it didn't work right.
Right.
No, you have to find someone that, with the understanding that 90% of the person you're talking to, maybe even more, is that person. The other 5 to 10% is the theory or your philosophical approaches on things. But if you can't connect with the person, you're not going to benefit from the therapy. So
I think that's important.
Absolutely.
What you're saying, because a lot of people are going. What do? They look up the therapist. They look at credentials. They maybe read a review. They look at
Right.
cost.
Right.
Right. They look at these things, and then sometimes even associate the idea he's the most expensive. He must be the best.
Yeah.
Even if he's the most certified, if you will, the most acclaimed.
Right.
And then you get there, and there's no relationship connection. There's no personal connection, but you still force it, and it's not there. And then you figure, well, if the best of the best couldn't help me and connect with me, then I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's all a personal preference. Um, and to go, I mean, you're going for a lot of reasons. A lot of times I see patients that long ago have resolved their issue that they were working on it. In some cases, it was just, it was a crisis intervention type of thing. But even if it's a long-term issue that they work through, be it anxiety, PTSD, whatever that issue is, um, and they really have not, they got to the point where the past isn't poisoning the present. They're actually have benefited from it and are literally moving on.
Yeah.
But they still want to continue to come, and it's not so much to resolve anything from the past, but to understand why things are working well, and what can I do so they work even better.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be as a result of a problem. It could be just to sustain something that's going well or to improve on something.
And that's my thought about, therapy is it's not the idea that, like you said, you have to go when there's an axe to grind, when there's a problem. You change the oil on your car, you don't throw it away and get another one,
Right.
or just stop doing it.
Right.
And so if we're going to take care of those engines, I mean, the most valuable engine that we may want to change the oil on once in a while,
Right.
Is our mind, and thus relieving the body and other things. So, the way I see therapy is, like you said, even if you're not depressed or sick, etc., the idea that you can go just to be inspired, to be enlightened, to grow from that sort of experience in itself.
Absolutely. And that's why, some people, when they think therapy, if they still have that stigma or stereotype, I mean, they're thinking that, okay, here I have these issues. I'm weak. I should be able to solve this myself. If they have that idea that everyone gets depressed.
Yeah.
So
right.
I mean, why would I go to therapy?
Hmm.
Not knowing, there's a big difference between reactionary depression and clinical.
Big difference between reactionary depression and clinical
Absolutely.
depression. And what you're covering were great excuses of why people don't go to therapy.
Absolutely.
I can handle it myself. I should be able to handle it myself.
Right.
There's the should statement.
That word.
Right. I should be able to handle it myself. Or what was some of the others you named?
Well, I mean, the whole understanding that a lot of men have problems going to therapy, and that's why more women tend to, because they see that
Weakness. They see it as a
sense of
weakness.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but to get past that and realize that, no, this thing that I'm coping with, if it's anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, I mean, this is no different than gastric ulcers, migraine headaches, some sort of physical ailment, which you can say, well, that's a medical problem, but so is this.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there should be a stigma. Everyone has that genetic wheel they spin, and where it ends up on, it's not a character flaw. You ended up on it.
It's just
and we're all coping with some aspects of a medical issue. But so I mean, either it's an enrichment thing, or it's not letting something that's negative define you, and that's either way you can benefit from the counseling.
Agreed. I'm starting to kind of shape my specialty, and where I'm focusing on, and
Sure.
being so, kind of new to the game in a sense, but I think where I'm going with is probably going to end up being a transition specialist. And, I thought the transition specialist, because not only, or I almost was the athlete specialist, but I mean, that fits in it. Being a transition specialist is, look at all the transitions. I lost a job, lost a relationship, got a new job, graduated from school, and now I'm a famous movie star, or now I'm not a famous movie star, a football player, or what have you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm headed. Even the theory that I use, it speaks to those transitions. And like you said, that therapy, I think, is originally thought out to be something simply sought after for transition or problem.
Right.
Other than, growth, enlightenment, and, I don't know, further education on something.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all part of the human experience,
It is.
where we just tend to go from one event to another. I mean, nothing good lasts, nothing bad lasts. I mean, we're going into either one phase or the other. So either we're getting some objectivity based on how long is this bag going to last, or
Right.
or really appreciating that you just turned a bend and there's a whole other choice you have to make, and that can lead to a good period or a negative period. But it all gives perspective, and to have someone that can move through those and help you decode how you're interpreting it, and not use that emotion, but use the truth.
The truth from the objective
Combine
standpoint.
those to know what's happening. It only perpetuates your own growth because I'm not being inhibited by a belief system that's not conducive to my growth, and I'm not getting comfortable in an uncomfortable way. You know, you're a therapist. If you ever go to a therapist and that therapist tells you what you need to hear to feel good, don't go to them. I mean, at some point in time, you're going to be mad at your therapist, or they're not doing their job.
That's important.
Because they have to challenge you on things. If
Sure.
they just tell you what you want to hear, then go see a friend.
Right.
They can do that. But it's that, as you say, that when they confront you and you experience a sense of discomfort, well, then I either have a choice to slide back in and be comfortable in an uncomfortable way where I was, or feel that discomfort and
Change.
there you go.
And make the change. And, you know, you speak to the human experience, and you know, reading the info on the show, you know, we talk about, you know, transcending life into rational thought, and
Right.
talking about the human experience.
Right.
And it's such a broad spectrum. You know, every time I hear that human experience, it reminds me of that enthusiasm, you know, that I found for life many years ago, found again in life many years ago, that spoke to wanting to feel, think, and just be in the human experience. So the day that I leave here, I'm on my deathbed, or even if it comes sudden and then half a second reflection, whatever,
Right.
I can say that I felt the human experience, you know, whether it was sadness and loss and grief, as well as happiness, joy, and love.
Yeah.
You know, that's that power of that human experience.
Well, I've sort of looked at it that way too, in the sense that, I mean, you're only.
Sorry, that's not us barking. If you hear anybody barking, that's Roxy.
It's not my
She's
shoe
joining us.
either. She's just lying by my shoe.
It's all right.
I mean, that's just it. I mean, if you're here in a finite amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
then I see you're entitled to the full range of human experiences as possible, the full range of emotions that are possible. I mean, I said emotions, but I mean, that's what, those are the colors on this mural that you call your life. And I mean, if you just sort of seclude yourself and try to protect yourself, well, the only way you feel totally protected and safe is to put yourself in total isolation.
Right.
But I mean, then you're not taking any chances. You're not growing. There's no risk, and you don't have any perspective if this is a good thing or bad.
And that's what therapy provides, is that perspective, because many people think or believe themselves to have lived a life of one thing,
Right.
that perhaps from a different perspective lived a life another way. And we can say that we can analyze in our own head constantly, which I'm an advocate of, is to analyze your own thoughts, behaviors, feelings. But to a point, we have to be able to find an outlet to be able to have a reflection, and sometimes reflecting on the sound of your own voice and the echo of your thought.
Mhm.
You know, reflecting off a therapist
Right.
gives that alternate perspective.
Well, and you know, the whole thing, they help you affect your belief systems. And you know what I say, that to consistently change what you do or think, you have to first change what you believe. But you don't even know to change something that has always been there.
Right.
I mean, it's you normalize things and you just go from there. But that growth thing, that if you're working with a therapist, it stretches you, and so you have more emotions. You have more sense of what that emotion means in relationship to your own truth, and that's the wisdom that you're developing.
Right.
But to stay fixed, you become stagnant. I mean, you stay within in what is known, and that becomes the world you live in. But there's way more outside those boundaries, that to realize your own potential, you have to extend yourself beyond them. And yeah, I mean, any kind of change is uncomfortable, but as your saying goes,
Uncomfortable is where the change
there you go. So, but yeah, then all of a sudden life becomes sort of intriguing. It becomes in a moment where you not knowing is actually a good thing, because I'm stretching in that direction, and I have a thirst for what's out beyond my own understanding of what's happening in the moment. That's the motivation. That's the energy, and that becomes what we talk about, the enthusiasm.
Right.
And with that enthusiasm, I mean, I say don't look to do this to be happy, because happiness is really hard to find. But anything you've ever been enthusiastic about, therein lies happiness. So it moves you into that dimension, whether you mean to or not. But if you have a sense of, I want to understand what isn't, I need to know what I'm capable of, my full potential.
Yeah.
Or I can get complacent, and someone once said there's comfort and complacency, but no growth.
Right.
And it's true.
And I think there's actually an innate feeling, or not an innate feeling. I mean, an innate pull to the unknown in the human species. I mean, for those that flock, for those
thirst
that,
for knowledge.
well,
Yeah.
almost the knowledge, but even the unknown to a point. I mean, if you look at the phenomenon of why we flock to beaches,
Mhm.
I mean, it's absurd when you think about it, that we just walk to where there's just desert sand, essentially, and water we can't drink, right? And typically we're at the beach, the water's hot to a point, maybe refreshing to a point, but what pulls us to the edge of of the unknown?
Right.
You know, that the ocean is unknown. We think we know what's out there to a point, but we don't belong there. It's not our element, but still we flock to the edge of an element that we don't belong.
Absolutely. But that's a good example too, because yeah, we do flock to beaches, but based on our own need to be in control, our own need for safety, gravitate towards what is comfortable, and to stay in that comfort zone. Well, all people may flock to the beach, but the comfort zone people keep going to the same beach. Okay. Then there's those other people that benefited and valued that experience, that moment. But I want to see other beaches, and I want to see other beaches in other countries, and I want to see the black sand beaches out in Hawaii. I mean, you know, it's not just them flocking to, but there's a dimension. It's almost a continuum for people who allow themselves to be satisfied in that cocoon, that safety zone. And other people, that cocoon propels them into a direction where they actually want to evolve and see the potential of what life has to offer. And everyone has that capacity if they can remove the anxiety and the fear of what it means to face the unknown. And that's, going back, that's what therapists help you with.
And let's face it, those that haven't been to therapy, it's unknown.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to face a different beach.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's unknown, or they've made up their own belief about it through what they've heard, what they've seen, you know, or maybe a childhood experience, you know.
Right.
And so that therapist is the unknown, you know. And I think it's a good place to kind of wrap our show up a little bit. We got a couple minutes left, but that idea is that, you know, we started talking about the stigmas of therapy, that I think it all relates back to a fear of the unknown with therapy. Based on experience, we create concrete beliefs that we believe to be true, such as, well, I tried therapy and it didn't work, thus all therapists.
Right. But that same concrete belief, I don't want this person, I have this idea of what my life and how I want it to be, even if it's not real functional, but it's my dysfunction. And it's like this house of cards, I got it just the way I want. Going to a therapist is like, you're afraid they're gonna blow on your house of cards. And so that fear, the unknown, like you said about the therapist, there's also a sense that they're gonna make me think something I don't want to think, or they're gonna make me do something I don't want to do. But any therapist that is legitimate would never tell you what to do. They just help you see the possibilities of what you could do.
Right.
And so no one's going to judge you, no one's going to ridicule you, criticize you, and certainly not try to take charge of your life. If you get a sense that that's happening, definitely go for the door. But allow that person to understand you, and based on your strengths to develop those, both, you know, from a cognitive standpoint, from a physical, or whatever you need to do to realize your own potential, then you're working with a good therapist.
Yeah, and those are great tips, you know, to find a good therapist, you know. But, you know, I think that circles back to, you know, I would challenge people to say that, you know, whether you have an axe to grind or something you're dealing with, or everything's great in your life, or you've had past experience or had even good experiences, I'd urge them to go back to the therapy, face that unknown, face that uncomfortable, and a change can take place, or a transcendence can take place in this human experience, man.
Sounds real.
That's what we're trying to get out of them, man.
Good deal.
Just to hang out for a little bit, man. We'll keep chatting. I just want to go ahead and we're going to cut the broadcast off. But
Sure.
thanks for joining us tonight. If you're a follower of the Cognitive Rampage, just stay tuned. We'll keep talking a little bit more. For those that aren't followers, this is where the videos will cut off. Becoming a follower is free and simple. Just create you a profile there on ustream.tv. Search Cognitive Rampage. Become a follower, and then you'll have access to the extended versions or extended sessions and lessons as well. Do you have something?
No, just feel free to check out Adam's sites. If you want to see mine, I'm on Truth Not Emotion, getting it right, and that's truththotemotion.com. And we link the two together a lot because we cover some common ground, and it's great working with Adam. He again, it's never a dull moment, including Roxy's.
Including Roxy too. So, like he was saying, truththotemotion.com is where you can book myself for transitional inspiration. I also do motivational speaking. Leo is a licensed therapist. He specializes in women's issues, but as well as relationships, the health triad, and a few other things too. But that's truththotemotion.com. If you're watching this via cognitiveRampage.com, be on the lookout soon. I'm shortly going to be back into mixing music like I used to a while